we change the color to, say, red. You click on the button here and change it to red. Okay. So now it's now in a red color. Also, you see that it's in a red color, but the boundary or the outline is blue. Let's say you want to change the outline to white. You have to move it from the marker and select the simple marker, right? So under here, you can see that you have the fill color. And you also have the stroke color. The stroke color is the outline color of the circle. So we change it to, say, white. So now it's now in white. So we can also change the size of the symbol here. Currently it's 4. We can make it 5, right? You can see that it has changed on the map. You can even make it 8 if we want. But I think 5 is okay for now. I hope we are following. Please, are we following?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So now, once we are done with that, the next thing we are supposed to do, now we are saying that we want to use proportional circles to show. Right now, I'm not going to go back to what we did yesterday. Yesterday, I was explaining, but most of us were finding it difficult to relate. That was the reason why I had to come here and change it back to graduated and other things for you to understand. But now, the assumption is that we are all clear with that aspect. So we proceed. So now, where we have the size here, where we can change the size, on the right-hand side, we have what we call millimeters. So that means that the size is currently measured in millimeters. You can change it to points, pixels, map units, or inches, or whatever, so that you can increase the size. You realize that right now it's in inches, and 5 inches is too big. That's why it's currently that way. Maybe if I do 0.1, you can see how it appears, 0.2, because it's now in inches. But we want to leave it default using what? The millimeters. So the millimeters, we use 5. Now, on the right-hand side there, you can see this symbol, right? So when you click on that symbol, you come down, we have what you call assistant. So you click on the assistant. So now when you open the assistant will allow us to pick data from the attribute table and visualize proportional circles on our map. So now we are going to choose the source. On the right-hand side, the drop-down button here will expand that and choose population of capitals. We choose that one as our visualizing node. And now we are going to indicate the range of our values. And you can see that we are saying that we want to visualize cities that has population of 20,000 and above. So we are going to start here by typing 20,000 here. And now we can look at the lowest city or the city with the highest population. Let's go back to the attribute table and see which one has the highest population. So select the populated capitals. Then we click on open attribute table. So from here, we come to the population column, which is here. So now yesterday, I told you that if you want to sort this from lowest to highest or from highest to lowest, you just double click here on the column header, the population capital. So when I double click like this, by default, it will sort them from what? From lowest to highest. So I can see that the lowest one is what? 20,600. That is Konongo. So, but when I go down, the city with the highest population, which is Accra Metro, is about 1,014,879. That is the highest, right? So I'll go back to here. So the values will range from where? 20,000 to 1 million. That is what I'll type here. Right. So you can see that on the map, automatically, the values, the circles have changed. You can see that the circle of Kumasi and Accra is very big, followed by Kumasi is around here. We also have Tamale here. So by the look of things, you can see that Accra is the most populated city. Kumasi is the second most populated. Tamale is the third. And when you come here, we have Secondary Takoradi. And here too, we also have Central Region. Yeah, I don't know the city. I don't know the name of the town there, but we can check here and we'll see it. See, we have Accra here, we have Kumasi, we have Tamale. We also have Tema. I think Tema is also here. We have Kufori Dua and Cape Coast. So they are the most populated, as we can see now. Are we together? Can I proceed?
Yes.
Okay. So if you also come down here where we have the output, so the output talks about the size of the circles here. So the size of the circles here, it has taken it based on the population here. That's the reason why some are bigger and some are smaller. But the size here means that we can increase or decrease the size of the circles, but it will still maintain its constant shape. Cities with higher population will still be bigger than those with smaller population, just that the size will vary, right? So here the size.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Please, me, my own, the circles are not appearing on the map.
The circles, that means that you do not follow the right step. If you follow the right step, it should appear. Right. You have to go back and do it again. Make sure you choose the assistant. And once you choose the assistant, you come in here, you can visualize that. I think we have already used 21 minutes. We have 19 minutes to end the first one. And today we have to cover what we are doing. So please, you guys have to permit me to move at a faster rate, small, right?
You proceed. Okay. Since the recording is there, we can listen to that, then practice, then ask questions tomorrow.
Okay.
That's my suggestion.
Okay, I think that will be fine. So now the size here too, we are going to change it. The size will rise from 3, let's say 3 to 10. Can you see that the size have changed a bit? If I change this, the 10 to 20, let's see what is going to happen. Have you seen? So it increases the size of the circles, but it still retains the difference clearly. Is that okay? So with this, I will maintain it as 10 here, and this one too, I will maintain the 3, or I can even make it 4. I think 4 is okay. Now, the scale method, which is Flannery, let's not change that. We leave it as default. But if you want, you can change it to surface. You can play around it and see, or exponential. It all has the way it shows the circles on the map. But we want to go with the Flannery, which is the default one. So you can see from here that on the map, we now have the circles shown with what? Different radius or different proportions. Okay, so once we are done with this, we'll go back again. And under this, let's put it back to marker. See, currently we are in simple marker. If you don't put it back to the marker, we are going to visualize by adding a legend, adding a circle here that will show the size and then the values of the circles here. So if it's currently on the simple marker, you cannot visualize that. If you click, it will not work. Maybe they can even tell that data input is not defined or any other thing. But so let's make sure we put it back on marker. So I will select marker. So you make sure you, after selecting marker, you come down here. We have advanced. Can we all see that? Advanced. Not save symbol. Advanced. Click on the advanced and choose data defined size legend. Right. So when you open that, by default, you have the preview here. Now, we are going to now customize how these circles will appear on the legend. And on the legend, if you are going to read, how will you know that this one is 20,000, this one is 50,000, and things like that? That is what we are going to do here. So by default, it says that legend not enabled, right? We take down off and pick collapse legend. Collapse legend. You see in the preview, you can see that we have proportional circles shown with the values indicated in them, right? If you put it on, so you can see that the circle starts from the bottom. So it's like this is where the radio starts from. So from here, you can see it goes this way. And then the second circle too also starts from there. And the radius is more than the first one. The third one too also starts the same thing. That is the current style, collapse legend. That's what we are using now. Now, if you put it on separated legend items, this is what you have. So if you are doing it on your map, you can choose. If you want to put the circles inside, you collapse them all to be inside. You have to use the collapse legend. If you also want to separate them, you use this. Is that okay? So now I'm going to use the collapse legend for now. And now at the top there, you can see we have the population here. You have to input something for your map to interpret, or for readers to know that these values you have here depict population. So at the title here, we can write population in there. So you can see at the top here, the population automatically replaces the name of the shapefile there. Is that okay?
Yes.
If you want to add cities to it, you can say population of cities. That is fine. Now how they appear here, maybe we don't want it to be this way. You see, by default, we have 20,000, 40,000. No, we have 200,000. We have 400,000. We have 600,000, 800,000, and 1 million plus. But rather, our population starts from 20,000. So we want to manually edit that. So you come here where we have what manual size classes. You click on that so that this place will activate. So once I activate this, I can input the population or the population sizes based on how you want it to look like. So with what we have here, we have plus and minus. You use the plus to add population to the value, and also use the minus to remove what you don't want to be part. So when I click on the plus symbol here, they ask me enter value for new classes. So our lowest city, the population was what? 20,000. That's where it starts from. So I'll type 20,000 here. Then I'll click OK. Like that, it gives us the first circle. So you can see that you can relate on the map. We have circles that are almost of the same size of what we have. That means that those cities, that is the size of their population. Then we add again. So let's say we can move from 20,000 to, let me say, 40,000, right? And this is what we have. We have cities also around that range. We can also add again, let's say from 40,000 to, I'll move straight to 80,000. So it depends on how you are analyzing your data here and how you want to interpret your map. This way you yourself have to play around. You have to do sensitivity analysis and see what values are you going to use so that your map can be interpreted well. So after 80,000, I'm going straight to 500,000. Right? So I'll have something like this. So after 500,000, I will go to, let me say, 800,000. And from 800,000, I will now go to 1 million. 1 million. So you can see. So now, if you don't want something here and you want to remove it, like the 1 million, if you want to remove it, you just select it and you use this here, then remove selected class. When I click, it will be gone, and I can add a new one. Okay, so now once you are done with this, you can see that on the label, this is what will appear in your map. This is what is going to appear on your map. But let's go and change something from here before we come back. Let's go back here and see something. So now we are under the marker. We are going back to the simple marker where we chose the proportional circles. I'm going to show you something there. So we'll click here and select the assistant. And select the assistant. So you can see that from here, we have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. That is what they are giving us by default. It's not a math that you should go and copy that and come and input it in where we were now, right? By defining the legend. It's not a math. You can just leave this one that way so that when you go to the data input sizes, you then define it there based on the map and how you can interpret the features on the map. So it's not a math that you should look at what is here and go and type in those values there. But if you also want to use this, it's fine. You can use the customized numbers they have given you here. So here they have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. So you see, it's not starting with what you have. So it's not advisable to use what is here. So I'll go back to my marker. So let me see. So I think it's good that you use, those of you using mouse, that would be the best thing. Currently, I'm not using a mouse. I don't like using mouse. But if you don't also like using a mouse, you can try going using the touchpad. Once you get used to it, you'll be fine. Okay. So they have warned us that we have 10 minutes. So once it's over, I'll share a new meeting, and there will be 5 minutes interval. So when it ends now, that one will start at 45. Okay. So now I'll go back to my data defined size legend. Now we have our values. Now we want to customize how this will appear on the map. You can see that when I come here, let's look at the layers side. When I expand the populated capital, you can see that we now have the circles appearing here, right? Every circle and this number here. You can see that the 1 million is what? 1E. I think those of us who are familiar with mathematics, rather, even when you are pressing your calculator, if you have larger numbers, they will write it this way for you because of the zeros, how it will appear. So we want to customize that so that it will appear well. And you also observe that when we come here, the population of Accra is not just exactly 1 million, right? But it's 1,014,879. So that means that we cannot just give 1 million to Accra, but we should say that its population is what, 1 million and above. So that will mean that under our legend, or here, the label, here is the value. You cannot change the value here, but under the label, you can change the label. The label will show how it will appear on the map. So you come and select this, and you right click, right? When you right click or you double click, it will activate. So we use our greater than symbol. We type it in there, something like this, and I'll say 1 million. I'll type the 1 million in there. That means that the population, the last one is what? Is greater than 1 million, or is 1 million and above. Please, are we getting the logic here? You see, GIS is not just about making maps. You see, you are making the maps to communicate, to solve a problem, right? To support something. So your map should be able to communicate, right? GIS is not map making. People usually confuse GIS with map making. Please, they are not the same. Map makers are different from GIS. GIS, you are analyzing data, you are visualizing something, you are communicating, you are doing your map to solve a problem or to communicate something. So once you produce a map and your map is not communicating, and that is not more a map, but it's graphics design. I think last year I was having issues with that with my students when I was a TA for GIS. I was telling them, they make maps, and when you look at the map is like it's from Photoshop. No, GIS, let's keep our maps simple, and they should be communicating. Okay, so now you can see that in our legend we have here we have from 20,000 to more than 1 million. If you don't also want to do that, you can type it there. If you don't want to use this symbol, but realize that when you type more than 1 million, it's going to make it something else. Let's see, when I say something like this, more than this, you see, it's making the legend look somehow. Do you get that? So let's use the mathematical symbols instead of dealing with words here. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So once we are done with this, then we'll close here. So we don't need this size for now. We are done with this part. So now you can see that on the map, you can tell that Accra is the most populated, right? So don't worry about it. You can see that some of the circles are on top of each other. It's because of the visualization here. So when we produce the final map, you will not have any circle on top of each other. Or when we go to the data in the QGIS, we have the data view, right? This is where we are working. We also have the layout view. The layout view is the design aspect where you go to style your map, to add legend, to add scale, to add writings and things to it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So now, please, let's always remember to save. So now, if you are going to label these cities, now I don't know what is here. Is it Kumasi? Is it Accra? Or what city is this? I don't know. Now, let's go back to the attribute table and see something. When I select the populated capitals again, and I right click and open the attribute table, you can see that we have the names of the district capitals here. Can you see? Name, that's names of capitals. So now, when I click this, for instance, you can see that it's selected on the map. Any of them that I select, right, is showing on the map. So now we can go in there and tell the labels to label each of these using the names of their capitals. We can also label them using the district or using the code, the town code, every town and its code. But we are going to use what? The names of the capital to label them. Okay. So that means that brings us to the next stage. So now, if you are going to do a mere labels, you just have to right click on the populated capitals and you click on what? Show labels. And the names of the towns will appear as you can see on the map. Right? As you can see on the map. So now, the same way, when you go to the layers panel, you can style how you want the labels to appear there as well. So all you have to do is, again, to select the populated capitals and you click on the layer styling panel. So when you come here, you realize that by default, it was on the first one. That was what was said there, the symbology. That is where we have done all the work we have done. We have changed the color and changed. The next one is what? Labels. Can you see? So now we are now moving from the symbology to labels. And under the labels, that's where we can change the font size, the font color, the font type, and everything. We can do everything here. So now you can see when we come down here, we have text, we have fonts, the style, the size, the point, the color. So I can come here and change the font style. So you can type it here. If I want Times New Roman, I'll just type Times New Roman. It will come. I'll press enter. It will change on the map. If I want the style, if I want it regular, I tell it's bold. I can select bold here. It will change on the map. You get it? So you can do all that. If I want to change the size to, I come to the size and I can make it 50 and it's shown on the map. If I want it 5, it's also shown on the map. Is that okay? Now we also have the color here. If I want to change the font color, let's say to green, I can change it also here. If I want to reduce the opacity of the writing, if I don't want the writing to appear so thick, I can reduce that here. You can see that it's almost gone. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 2 minutes for this session to end. So for the sake of having our video recorded in a good shape, we'll stop here so that in the next session we'll now go to the layout view. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes. So do you have any questions
Okay.
to ask for this stage so that we use the 1 minute to address that and we'll go to the next session? But I hope you are getting it. You are following.
Yes, please.
Yes, we are following.
Okay. That is good. So you can do so many things here. That is under the labels. You can change so many things. Here too, we have currently it's on single labels, right? We also have what we call rule-based labels. That one too is when we are dealing with huge amount of data. But now that we are dealing with a single data, we don't need that one now. We also have blocking. You can use all that. But for now, or most of the times, we are going to be dealing with single labels, right? And you can also see under here, we have default and we have style. You can change, if you don't want that, you can change the font style and stuff, some advanced settings here. We also have grayscale, we have colorful and stuff. All of them you can always change it. So, but leave the default to topography. So when you come here, save settings, right? When you do the labels, you can style it how you want it. So once I'm done with the styling, let's say I can put my name there, right? Let's say I want to label it as Majid. So whenever I come, so after typing in the, you choose what? Add to favorites and save. So whenever I come to the labels, it will be here. Any map I'm doing, I'll just come and choose this, and automatically it will, the labels now. The next thing we are going to do, we want to label each of the cities. Now, let me increase the font size back to, let's say, 10, right? Okay, so now we have Tamale, we have Yendi, and things like that. So we want to do the labels in such a way that you can tell as to whether this is Tamale, right? What is the population size? And also, what is the name of the district of Tamale? Is that okay? So that we can know where Tamale is located, the district. So now, in doing that, you see, when we come to the label side, now we are doing the label by what? Value. When you look at the single labels, under here we have what? Value. And then what we are using to label is the names of the capital. When you come here, you can change that by labeling what? Using the town code. And you see by default, that one appears on the map. Okay. If you also change by using the names of the district, it also shows the district the town is found within. Is that okay? So now, let's put it back to the names of the capital. So now, at the right-hand side, you can see what we call the E symbol, right? That is expression. So we are going to open that, and we can write in an expression that can show the labels of the town, the name of the capital, the town, its population, and at the same time, the district that is within, and then the total population of it. So let's click here and expand that. So now you can see by default what you have in the box here. What can we see here? We can see the name of what? The capital. That is what is showing there. That's the reason why on the map we only have the capital, the town's names showing. So now when we come under here to the fields and values, can we see here under fields and values? We have the various names there, right? So you can see that now we have the town code, we have the district name and things like that. So now we are going to select them, these labels, and add them to what is showing in the expression box here or the expression builder, so that those labels will also appear on the map. And now by default, we already have the names of the capital, which is fine. We leave that. So you see it's there with a double quote. So that is like a tool that contains the name from the database. That is what we are having here. So now you can see under here, we have the equal sign, we have the plus, like all those operators, they are all here. And we also have the string, right? Concatenation. Those of us who are familiar with SQL, Excel, Python, and those stuff. So we are going to use this to separate the labels. So now we already have the capitals, the names of the capital towns shown. So we come here and select this. I want to resize it so they will be showing. Okay, let me make it this way. Okay, so we double click on what? The concatenate, right? The string concatenation, and it will appear. Don't double press it. Don't press it twice, just press it only once. Make sure the space here is also one, but make sure there's space there, right? Okay, so once you select this, on the map, we have the names of the capital, the towns shown. The next thing is that we want to show the district that this town falls within, right? But we want to use a semicolon or a column to separate that. And by doing that, we have to type a string, right? To contain the semicolon, right? So I'll do something like this. I'll press my command and put a semicolon in there. Then I'll close it. Is that okay? So what you are typing here, you can see under the preview when you are done and you save. This is how it will appear on the map. Is that okay? This is how it will appear on the map when you are done. So now, again, we are going to bring the string concatenation to separate it. Don't press it twice. So now the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to bring the name of the district. We want to show the district there. So the district is here. All you have to do is to double click. The district is also added. So you can see that under here, the preview we have Accra is located in where? Accra Metro. Is that okay? And now the next thing we want to do is also to show what the population, but we want to bring a semicolon to separate the population and then the district. So make sure you bring this again. Now the semicolon is not part of the attribute table here. For us to select here, we are going to type it in there. That's the reason why we are bringing the comma to contain the semicolon so that it can show in the system. So you can see under here, after the Accra Metro, we have a semicolon. The last thing we want to show is the population, which is also here. So you go there and double click. So the population is also showing here. So you can see we have Accra located in Accra Metro, and this is the population. But you realize that on our map, it will not be communicating because here you have the population, right? You have Accra Metro and you have number. People will find it difficult to know, is this population, is it the town code, or what is it about? So we want to find a way of putting something here so that when people come to see it, they will know that it's talking about what? The total population or the population of the town, right? That means that I'll come in here and use the string concatenation, right, to separate it here so that we can type in a string there too, right, to tell it that this place is what? Total population before you then bring the total population. So we'll type in here, we'll take the comma again, and we'll type total population. So total population, right, something like this. But before, so when you do this, you realize that we now have total population here before the population is shown. But we want to bring what? A semicolon here too, so that it will separate the population and the total population. So you come here before you close with the column, then you type the semicolon in there. So we have something like this: Accra, and then the district is what? Accra Metro, and then the total population is something like this. So that is what we're going to do. So once you follow this, you do the same thing. If you are finding difficult to do, you just have to look at the video. Then you make sure you type this code in there and to work for you. So once you are done, so the preview, this is how it will look like. So once you are done, you press okay. You can even next year to see the next cities, how it will look like. So when I next year, you can see Agona Suedru, Akim Oda, Boku, we have Brekum, Bolgatanga, Cape Coast, all that. They are all there. So once you are done, we click OK. So now you can see that on the map, we have Boku, and it's located in what? Boku East District. The total population is what? 33,900. So now you can see, instead of the name, only the name shown here, you can enter the value. There's what? An expression here that tells what we want to show on the map. Is that okay? Now, you can see that the names here are in what? Horizontal format. We want to break it down at least to maybe in a vertical format so that it will be easier to read. If not, when we leave it this way to plot our map is going to be awkward. It's going to, the reading will be difficult. Is that okay? So now, what we are going to do is that we come in here. You can style the labels here. What we have here, you can style it. Now I'm going to change the font type to something else. I don't like this font type. Let me see. I'll use Verdana. It's too deep. It's too deep. Let me change to a different font. Let me say you Gothic. Okay, I'll use this font. I'll change it from bold to regular. Okay. And now what we have at the top here, you realize that we have different formats here that we can format our writing, right? currently we are in the normal text, which is the ABC, and we have the formatting here where we can format our text. If you want the orientation to be vertical or horizontal, you can see here we have what? Text orientation is in what? Horizontal. So we can make it vertical. Do you get that? So you see, it's not easy to read. So you don't have to always just choose what you like, but what will make your map communicate. So I'll put it back in horizontal, right? And then the spacing between the letters. So if you have Boku A, you have B, A, what space do you want to be between the B and the A? So you can see how Boku is a B, A, W. You can specify the spacing you want in between. So let's say currently the spacing is 0. If I put 3, this is how it's going to show, right? We don't want the spacing, we put it 0. You can also specify the spacing in between the words. Right now, you can see the words are clustered together. So maybe we can put 1 here to space that one small. Is that okay? But I'm going to leave it by default 0. So when we come here to, you have different styling, right? That you can do. If you want to draw a text buffer, you can see that in the background, we have what? A white background as the layer. So let me change it to a different color here so that you can see it well. Change it to green. Can you see? If you want to do that, you can change that here. But we don't want a text buffer, so I'll take it off. So if you also want to label a mask, you can do all that here. We don't need that. What we have here, we need this. We want to draw a background so that now that this writing is here, it's white, maybe on the map, you want to add a background so that it can improve visibility. You can see the map clearly. So now I will choose what I will activate draw background so that there will be a background layer, right? So that the text can be on top. So I'll come here and change the color to what? Black, right? Wow. When I change it to black, the writing cannot see. Then we have to change the font color to white. So I'll come back to the text, which is the first one, and change the font color to white. Can we see that? Okay. So when you come back here to also realize that the buffer, what we have, the background, the edges is square. Maybe you want to curve the edges, right? You can do that here. You can change that here. So let's say the size X. Let's say I can make the size X. Let's say 5. Then the Y2, I'll make it 5 to increase the font, right? If you also want to change the size and type, you can do that too. Okay, but here we are making it just 1 for now. Let's go by 1. Okay. So we also have the radius here where we have the point X and point Y. You can do all that to change the formatting. Now it depends on you. Now you have to just style your writing. If you want to reduce the opacity, as I said, you can reduce the opacity here. But now we are not reducing the opacity. The radius 2, we are leaving it 0. The size 2 here, we are leaving it 0. The default here is now your choice. At this point, you are now a graphic designer. This is the part of the work that you show your design skills. Okay, so now once we are done with this part 2, we have the next one where you can what? Draw, drop, shadow, right? So you can put a shadow. You can see there's a shadow behind the text, and you can also offset here. You can change the angle, right? So it's 135. You can change it. You can change it to any angle of your choice. By the default, you have 135, but you can change it where you want the writing or the text or the box that contains the write-up to be. So if I say I want it to be 200, you can see that it's now giving me negative values, right? If I say I want it to be 50, it will show where the location or will be. So we are going with the default 135. Okay. And now the next thing we are going to do, when you come here, can we see this? We have what we call draw callouts. Draw callouts. You see, you can see that right now, when you check on the map, we have some of the writing being on the map. Maybe you want to drag this writing and put it here so that it will not be on top of the map. And that's where we use the draw callout. Okay. But now, before we come to the draw callout, I want to show you something, because this is so, should I say, horizontal. So maybe we can break it down, right? We can break this down so that we have some of the writing appearing here in a vertical format or entering a different column, so that to reduce the size. So if you want to do that, you come here to the text formatting, where we have what? Wrap on character. Can we see that here? Wrap on character. So let's say we can put a semicolon there, or we can put a column or whatever there. So once you put a column, right, or a semicolon there, automatically it like reduces the writing in length, and it brings some of them to a different column. Please, are we following?
Please.
Yes.
So we are good to go, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So by default, once we put a semicolon here or a column, it brings it to what? A new column, right? If you also want, you can choose. You can say currently it's on what? Number automatic wrapping, right? You can increase it, and you can specify, let's say, some characters, right? Let's say you want to wrap based on 20 characters, right? So when it counts 20 characters here, it will start a new column. When it counts 20 characters, it will wrap a new column, right? So that when you are reducing here, you see the wrapping changes, right? So you play along, right? And settle on what fits best for you. Okay, so you see, once you change it, okay, so I will leave it as 20. So now we also have what we call the follow label placement. You can change that here. So it's just like Microsoft Word. Maybe you want to justify your writing, you want to put it at the center, you want to put it at the right, you want to put it left align, center align, and things like that, right? I think the center align is okay. We can go with the center align here. But if you don't like that, you can go with what? Left align. Or you can go with what? The default follow label placement, right? But I'll go with left align. Okay. So now, so you realize that once we are done with this, we are now going to do what I was telling you. You realize that now some of the labels, they are on top of the map, so you cannot read, or maybe you have some information here that you want to see, which you cannot see well. So we want to drag them here and put them somewhere else, right, outside the map, so that we can see well. And before we can do that, here we have what we call here. Can we all see that here? The collapse, right? Collapse, just like Microsoft PowerPoint, where we have collapse. You can drag a writing here, and there will be a line that will show it outside the map area. So we come and activate it here. Draw collapse, right? So once I activate, you can see that there's some line that connect the label to the center of the circle. Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay. So now once you are done with that, the next thing you're supposed to do is to pick this, right, and drag it outside so that it will not be on top of the map. But before you can do that, you need a tool that can help you to drag it. And that tool is at the top here. That is what? Move a label. Can we see it at the top here? Move a label. That is the reason why I was telling you to activate the label. So if you don't have your labels tools, all these tools are the label tools. If you don't have them here, you have to go to your view as I showed you. Come down to your what? Your toolbars, right? And activate your what? Label is here. Label toolbar. So you check it. Once you check it, it will be shown here. So now, once it's shown here, I'll come and pick what? The move what? Label. So once I click it, you see that it's selected. Now, when you come to the map, your pointer automatically changes to what? It automatically changes to a plus sign, right? So when you select this, for instance, you can see that there is a highlight around the label, and I can pick it. Just so now, if this is still popping up, you are not able to move. Make sure you select you click this and change it back to the names, right? You select the names and try to move it and see. You see now it's moving. If this one is not working, you pick the district. When you use the district to move, I'm sure it will work. So if you are using the code and it's not working, select it to the district capital. If it's not working, you change it. So you change it back to any of them. One of them will work. Is that okay? So now you can see that I'm moving them outside the map area so that we can read the map well. You can see what is on the map. So you move them and place them at a gentle place. I hope we are following. And we are getting the concept. Okay, we have agreed that if this meeting should stop, I should start another meeting, right?
For me, yes.
I think maybe we all will not agree, but those who are okay can agree and then join. Once it's learning, we are all here with different agenda, right? So since you can follow it later, that wouldn't be a problem. This is to help you, right? Because if you continue at this pace, maybe in the end, we'll not be able to cover all that we are supposed to cover, and that will be the end, right?
Yes.
Okay. So once you are done moving them like this, so that you can see on the map. Mostly this color, this green color is not a nice color. So at least use a simple color. It can be like some simple line. Or if you want, you can make the color black, right? And you are good to go. So now we are done with the first part. We have done a map showing the district, the capital, the cities with population more than 20,000 is there. Now you can see on the map, the names of the towns are there. We also have the district they fall within. So we have Yendi here. It's in the district of what? East Dagomba. And has a total population of what? 30,700. So we have achieved the first part. Now we are not supposed to go to the layout view and produce the map and save it from there. So with those of us who have agreed that we should continue, we'll continue. When it ends, we'll create another meeting and we'll try to conclude that. So the meeting, this one will end in 10 minutes. So once it's end, I will start another one. So at this stage, if you have any question to ask, or we should proceed so that we'll ask at the latter part, right? So now we are done with this part. The next thing that we are going to do is to go to the layout view. What we were doing is called the labeling features, labeling and symbolizing and things like that. We are done with that part. Now, when you go to your project, right, we are going to choose what we call layout manager. That's if you have already ones existing, but we are going to choose what we call new print layout. New print layout. But on your map interface, you can see that when you place your pointer here, we have a new project, so you can start a new map project here. We don't want that, right? If you also come here, we have a new print layout. Then when you press Ctrl+P, automatically it will open a new print layout for you. So now we are going to click on that, and it will take us to another interface. So when we click on that, the interface will not be the same as this one. Where it will take us to, that's where we can now start doing the legend. We can add our names, the scales, and things like that. Is that okay? Okay.
Yes.
So now I'll click on the new print layout. So you have something like this. So now you can type the name of your print layout there. So our print layout, we are going to title it as populated cities, right? I'll say populated cities in Ghana. So this is how I'm going to label it. And click OK. So you see, it will open another window for us. I hope you can see this, my window from your end.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we are going to have. So now we can see that here we have a paper here, like a sheet. Now we have to customize the sheet size, and at the same time we have to customize. This one is a landscape. So you can see on your right hand side we have paper, or we have page, right, where we have the item properties. We have layout, which is the first one. The second one is item properties. We have size, which is currently A4. We have the orientation, which is landscape. We also have the width and things like that. Now we are going to change the size of the paper from A4 to
It's like your screen is not showing again.
Can you see my screen from your end?
Oh.
It's not moving again.
What can you see now?
This is the
We
interface.
can see the map with the labels.
You can see the map with the label. So the other part of the screen, you can't see that.
No.
You can't see the layout manager, the one I'm currently showing now.
No, the layout.
No, please.
Yeah, we can see that.
You can't see that. Wow. So let me see. Let me stop sharing, right? And go. That means that screen is opening a different window. So I have to stop sharing and reshare that one. Is that okay? And I think the time is almost up. So once it stops, then I will start with that one. Okay, I think we still have time. We still have about 5 minutes. So I'll stop sharing this one and start sharing that screen. Okay, can we see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you click on the layout manager, this is what you have. You have something like this. Now, I'm saying that when you check on the right-hand side, you see we have layouts, we have item properties, and we have guide, right? Under the item property, you can see the size of the page. You can see the orientation. Now, you can see that by default, we are using A4 here. That is the size. We have so many paper size here that you can choose. From B0 to what? A6. As you can see, we have letter, we have ArcB. Most of those dealing with architecture, they use some of these sizes. Now we are going to change it from A4 to what? A3. You can see that the size have increased, right? So just press your cursor on it, and you can press and readjust it. You either zoom in or zoom out so that it will refit again. That's the A3. Now the orientation is also what? The orientation is also what? Landscape, right?
Landscape.
But currently our map of Ghana is very long. So maybe we can choose to go with what? Portrait, because the map is long. So once your map is long, the best orientation is what? Portrait and not landscape, right? So now, so this is how you do to adjust the page size and things like that. And under that place, you can also see that we have background. So that the background color now is what? White. So let's say we want to change it from white to a different color. Let's say we want to make it green. You can see that now. Yes. But we don't want this. We'll just keep it default, which is the white. Now, when you go to the top two here, we also have the interface that is similar as the other side a bit. We have save here, where you can save what you have done. This place too, if you don't save, when you close your work, you cannot retrieve this. But once you save, it will be part of the other map and you can retrieve it. And now we also have edit here, right? Under the edit here, yes. Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have edit here. We also have view, which just work like the other side. If you want to add snap grids, you can see that right now there's no any grid line that is showing to guide you, just like in Microsoft Word. When I click here, snap grid, all those grid lines, see when I'm dragging here, we have labels appearing. That same way too, we also have where show grid. We also show grid to appear on the map. So if you are doing anything, you can use that one as what? As a guide. right? Now, we also have what we call add item here, right? We have item here where you can group, you can ungroup, you can send something at the top, at the lower part. We'll show all those things later. That's the item. And then we have the add item. The add item is the part whereby you can add the map you have done to the work here. You can also use that one to add a picture to the work. You can use that one to add a legend, to add a scale bar, to add a north arrow, to add a shape, or to add whatever. So when we start using that, you see how that is added, right? So the first thing we are going to do is to add the map we have done. That is at the other side to our work. So now all the things we see in the add item, they are also shown here at the left-hand side, customized here. So if you don't want to go and use this long process, you can come here and just add them. So you can see from here, we have the pan layout. Here we have select item. Here we have move item, edit nodes, add map and stuff like that. So now we want to add the map from the other end. So all you have to just come and click on what? Add map. So your pointer will automatically change to something like this. Now you come here and draw the size of the map and leave the cursor, and then the map will be added. So I'll come here, you click and hold, right? And draw something like this. So you can see I'm using the guide. Once I draw and I leave it, my map is added automatically. Can we see that?
Yes.
Can we see that? Okay. So now, once you are done adding your map, you see your pointer has not changed yet. It's currently on what? When you come back to the left-hand side, that's what move item. Then when I do a little mistake and do this, the map will move outside the data frame. I can bring it back by doing what? Undo, Control Z, and it will come back. Or you come back to the edit and you choose what? Undo, and it will come back. Now, what you have to do is that you have to unselect this by taking it back to what? The pan layout. So that when you come here, you are doing something, it will not move your map again, right? Now, you can still change the layout here if you don't want this paper size, right? If you don't want this paper size, you can still change it, right? So when you come back to the items, you don't have the page here just because you have added the map now. But when you come here, we have select or move item, right? So put your cursor there and select it. So when you select it and you come here, place your cursor at any part of the outer boundary and right. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so let's continue. So what I was saying is that once you come back, if you want to change the sheet size, you just place your cursor outside any part of this, right? And you right click. So once you right click, you see that they have what? Manage what? We have a manage guide page. We also have page properties. You click on that. The page size will appear again. So you can change the orientation or whatever you want again to any portrait again. So once you change it, this is how it will look like. You have to go again and then adjust your map to fit into the context. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So now you can see that some of the names, right? We're dragging them to place them in a better position and things like that. It hasn't been placed well or how we want it to be placed, right? So before you can change it, you have to go back to the other view, right? And change it from there. So you can see that the orientation, how I've arranged the labels outside here is not done well. So you have to go back to that side and change it. So let me come. We are going back to that side. I have to share my screen for that side too again. I hope you can see my screen for that side too again.
Yes.
You can see it at the other end, the data view.
Yes.
Okay. So now we want to adjust this one too, right? And put the labels well so that it will show well in the other end. So you have to go back again and pick what? The move labels, right? And place them well. So you have to take your time and align them very well, right? So that all of them can be seen. So now you are now like a graphic designer. The part that we are, that part is now the design aspect of GIS, right? So I can put this one here, right? So you align them very well. Right? Can you see how we are doing it?
Yes.
Okay. So I hope with this, at least when you are doing it yourself, you can adjust it to how you want, how best you want it, right? At least you have gotten the concept now.
Yes.
Okay. So you bring this closer so that in the layout view, it will not be far away from the map. Make sure that it's always closer, right? It's just at the edge of the map. If not, you are seeing it small, but on the map, the scale is something else. It will be far away, right? Something like this. Okay. Now, so you make sure you save here. So I'm going back to it. I'll also change the font. I want the font to also be bold so that it can be visible enough. So I'll change it to bold. Can you see? Okay. So now at the other end, you cannot change the font size there. You have to only do it here. So this is the back end. And the other side is what? The front end, right? Okay. So now we are coming back to the layout view. Can you see my layout view screen now? So all the changes that we have done there, when you come here, it will not show automatically. You have to come and what? Refresh, or you press F5. So you can see refresh, and when you click on it, automatically it will show here. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. So now we want to change our layout back to what? The portrait. Remember, I told that Ghana is like elongated map. So it's good you go with what? A portrait. Unless you have other information, detailed information that you want to show here. But we don't want to show anything here. So I'll take it back to portrait. So once you take it back, you have to adjust it yourself again to fit in, right? So now I will let it stop here so that when I want to put information, I can put the information under. Now, this brings us to what we call scales, right? We have done GIS and we interpret maps using what? Scales. So now the map is smaller in the end. The other side, you cannot work with scale there. This is the part where you can now work with what? The scale. So we have to adjust the scale so that the map can fill in all these areas, right? So now we go back to the layout here, right? Where you can change the scale and things there. But for now, before we come and change the scale, let's come back here to the move item. When you click on the move item and you come and select the map, you can use the move item to move the map inside the layout. So if you want to take it at the top, if you want to bring it here, you can do that. Is that okay? But once it's on the select item, you cannot move the map. When you move, the layout will be dragging. Is that okay? So we use the move item to do that. Okay. So we have the guys here, the page properties and everything. But now we want to change the scale. So when you come to the layout, if your scale is not shown here, you come and right click on the map, right? And you click page properties. Your scale should be shown. If it's still not shown, right? You have to make sure that you go to the settings or the layout or even the view and tick on some of the panels here, right? We have toolbars, everything. You have the layout, everything is shown here. We have items and things. You make sure you select everything. Everything is shown here so that it can enable your scale. If your scale is still not shown, so you try again and refresh and select the map. So make sure the map is selected. So once your map is selected, then you come to the item properties. Your scale should be shown. Can you see here? We have map main properties. That is where our scale is. So now in this place where the other side, make sure your toolbar, everything, all these things are activated so that when you come, you can have your scale and other thing. So now you can see that the Ghana appears small here. So we have to do what we call sensitivity analysis and play around the scale to see how it will appear. So now the current scale is 4,922,220, and the map appears what? Smaller. So now we have to, so when I change this and take it back to 3, right, you see that my map appears bigger, small, right? When I also move, so now I can make it 3 million. So if you don't know about scales, please, I'll encourage that after this class, you go and learn about scales, what scales are and how to interpret them, because at this stage, it will be difficult for us to explain the concept of scales and how to get it. Because if you don't understand the scales, you will not know how to visualize your map. And if the scales that will help you to visualize your map from here, that means that if you are doing an area like a community, a town, only Kumasi, the scale is going to be what? Smaller compared to if you are doing for let's say the whole of Ghana, right? Your scale is going to be what? Going to be larger, right? So if the area is small, the denominator of the scale will be what? Will be bigger, right? And if this area is very big, the denominator of the scale will be smaller. It's like how the fraction works. Okay, so if I have an orange, I'm dividing it into 4 parts to give 4 people. So each of them will take what? 1/4, right? So that means that it will be smaller compared if I'm going to divide it to 2 people where they will take what? Half each. So now, currently the scale is what? 3 million. So, but we still have spaces around. That means that I can change my scale again from 3 million to what? I can make it 2.5. 2.5, right? Something like this. I think I rather want to do 2.5 million, right? So it should be something like this. So rather your map will be around this way. Now you have to adjust the map. And by adjusting the map, you go back again and choose what? The move content. Once you pick that, you can drag the map and it will fit in how you want it to be. So now you can see that the items on the maps appear smaller, right? So now that we are in the data, the layout view, and we are able to see how the items appear or how the final output will look like. Now that means that we have to go back again to the data view and increase the size of the circles here so that they can appear clearly. And we can also at the same time adjust what we have here. One disadvantage of this is that you cannot adjust the items here. You cannot move them here, right? You cannot change the size of the items or adjust them here unless you adjust them from the data view. Okay, so now I'm going back to the data view again. I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes.
Now we are back to the data view. So the first thing we have to do is to go back to where the layout styling and increase the size of our circles. And where did we increase that? Remember, we increased the size from somewhere. So when you come here, we have the size from here, right? So you click on the right panel, you go to assistance. And from the assistant, we have the size here that ranges from what? 4 to what? To 10. So let's say we can make it start from 10 to, let's say, 20, right? Meaning it will look like this. Don't worry about how it will look like here, because when you go to a layout view, it's not going to be the same thing, right? And now we can still adjust this too. You can see that some of them were outside the layout and it wasn't visible. So you can bring them. So how things appear here is not the same as how they appear in the layout view. So you can bring some of these and readjust them. That's one disadvantage of the QGIS or even ArcGIS. How you see things in the data view is not the same as you see in the layout view, right? So you can adjust them. So now, once you are done, then you go back to the layout view again. So when you come back to the layout view, the changes you have done there will not automatically come. You have to refresh, as I said. So now you can see that the circles are now clearer. We can see, right? But then you have to go back and adjust the writing, this writing, the layout. You have to place them well in a sense that all of them can be shown well, right? You adjust them. If you don't adjust them well, some of them will not even be shown. And even the font size, when you go back and change the font size of this, some of these smaller ones, all of them, the labels will be shown in here. So you just have to zoom in and then drag it, adjust it, zoom into the data view so that you can see where the point is and you adjust everything from there. Now we have added the map. The next thing we want to add is that we want to add a title for our map. So you go to that same place, add item. You see at the top here, we have what you call add label, right? You click on the add label. It will change to something like that. You come to the top, then you draw a text box here. So once you draw and leave it, on your right hand side, you can see that there's main properties open with something Lorem is shown, like that's a default even in programming. So you have to delete that and type the title in there, right? So we are going to say a map of Ghana, showing capital cities with population more than 20,000 according to the 2010 Population and Housing Census. That's the title we want to give to our map. So now once you are done with the title writing, you come under the title. You see that we have what you call the appearance. That is the font. You can increase the font here. So once you click on the right button here, you can come here and you can change the font. So when I come and type 50 here, you see that the font will change. So I'll make it 20 from here. If you also want to type that, you can just play around here, zoom in and zoom out, right? And then the font will change for you. So once you are done, we also have the font orientation here. So I want it to be in the center. So I'll click here and then the font will appear in the center. If you want it to be in the middle too, you can choose here and it will be there. Now, if you want to have a frame around your write-up, you see here, we have a frame here. When you click on the frame, by default, you see there's a frame created around your font. You can play along all these things too. If you also want to create a background under your font, you can take this and you can change the background color to any color of your choice and the font will be on it. But we want to leave it as default white. So I'll leave it that way. That is how you play along the font. Now, the next thing we want to do is, now in this layout, or this text box, the box around the map, is not visible. So we want to make it black and make it bold enough so that it will serve as the frame of our map. So once it's selected this way, when you scroll down, we have the frame here. The frame allows you to create a frame around it. So I will activate the frame. Once I activate it, by default, the color is here. You can choose the color you want. And you can also select the thickness. So I want the thickness, the width to be 1. So I'll choose 1. So when you go back to the map, you can see it there. I think the 1 is too much. I'll make it 0.5. So let's make it 0.5 or 0.4. So it's okay. Yes. So once we are done with that, the next thing we want to do is to add a scale to our map. So you can go back to the add item again. You have what you call the scale bar. You can add it from here, or you just check on the left hand side. As I told you, the symbols are there. So you can click on add scale bar. Then you come here and you draw your scale there. So your scale is drawn there. So you can readjust it here. So once that is done, if you want to, now by default, you can see that it has given us the scale in kilometers. So once you come to the right hand side, you can see that the scale bar is there. If you want to change it to meters or whatever, you can change it there. But for me, I want to change it to miles. So I'll click this and change it to what? Miles. So now it's in miles. And now we also have the left segment and right segment. If you want to increase the length of your scale, how many points or the segment do you want to be shown? The left segment, we are going to change it from 0 to, so let's say 2. And also on the right segment of the scale, let me zoom it in so that we can all see what I'm talking about. Under our scale, you can see we have the right segment. If you want to increase, this side is the right segment, and this is the left segment. The left segment is the secondary part of the scale. The right segment is the primary part. This one allows you to measure units in shorter distance or smaller units. So now I can increase this to let's say make it something like this. Yes, 3, or I can even make it 4. So the other segment is 2, and this segment 2 is also 4. So that is what we have to know now with regards to adding the scale. So once we are done adding the scale, if you go back there are so many things we can add. The next thing we want to add is to add north arrow. When you are doing your map, you have to show the north direction of your map so that anyone reading your map can know that this is the east, this is the west, and this is the south. So we go there again. You can see here we have add what or north arrow. You click there, then you bring it to your map and you draw a text box. So by default, the north arrow is what added. If you don't like this north arrow, you come to this side where we have the symbols in there. Can you see by default they are here? You can scroll in there and check and change any style that you want. So you can see the north arrows are here. You can change to any style of your choice. So let's say if you don't want this and you want the one with 4 corners, you can pick it and your north arrow is changed, right? So one that is changed to, you can also change the color. When you scroll down, you can change the color of your north arrow. Right now it's what? It's black and white. We can change the fill color here to, let's say, we can make it, let's say, red, right? But the red is not nice because of the red symbols on our map. So let's say we are going to make it blue. So our north arrow will be like this. So you can change also the stroke color. If you want blue and, let's say, violet, you can change that here. So that is how we add the north arrow. If you also want to add a frame around the north arrow, you can choose that here and there will be a frame around it. But we don't need a frame, so we take that off. So now we have added a north arrow. Now, still, you do not know where the north is because this north arrow, it comes by default. It's not showing where the end is, the north, the east, the west, the south. So now we have to add a text label and indicate that this place is the end, that's the north side. So we go to the add item again, and then we select what? Add label. We pick that and come and draw a text box here so that we can delete this and put N there, right? So once you select the N, you see now we have N here, but it's small. So you have to go down again and change the font size, make it look bigger, right? So now you can see how it's appearing. If you want it to be center, click here, it will be at the center. You can also click here, it's in the middle, right? That is how we do it. So you adjust it here to show that this is the north part of your map. Make sure you always save. Now we are done with this part. The next thing that we want to do is that we want to add, we have added the map, we have added the title, we have added the legend, we have added the scale bar. We want to add a picture, a logo here, right? To show that the organization that have done the map, right? Let's say you are from a particular organization, you have to show that. Now we have a border frame here, right? Now we want to add another frame here to cover this part. So by doing that, you can add what we call shape. So when you come here, we have what you call add shape. So you click on that. What do you want to add? We want to add a rectangle. You pick that and you come and draw a rectangular shape here, right? Yes. So you can draw a rectangular shape there. So the same way, you can change the frame, the outline, and things like that. You can change everything in there. But now we just want to leave it that way. But if you want to change the position and size, you can adjust that here. If you also want to change other aspects of it, you can do that. Okay. So now we have added that. Now we want to insert a picture here, our logo or something here. Now we come there again. You see, we have add picture. You pick that. You come to within that box where you want to add it. So I want to add the picture or the logo. I want to add it at this side. So I will draw this here, a box inside there. So once I draw this, you realize that on the right hand side, automatically it opens up a panel for you, right? And under this panel, you are allowed to add a picture from your system, right? So let's say you have a picture in the system that you want to bring. You want to add it to what we have here. So now you have to move it from the SVG image. Those ones are the default one that comes with the ARC map, right? So now we are going to change it from here to the raster image. The raster image part can allow us to bring our customized images. So once I put it here, automatically you have this drop down button that will appear here. You go to your right hand side. You have the browser panel here with the three dots. You click and open that. It will take you to your desktop where the folder is. And under the folder, we have some logos that are put in there. We have the Geospatial Ideas logo. They also have QGIS logo. So we want to add the Geospatial Ideas logo. So you select it and you click open, right? So you can see that it has been added to our map. Can you see it then? So now you don't have to worry. Maybe it has been added, but it's not clear. If you don't save the final output, the work is not going to be that very clear, right? I think the latest version of QGIS, that is what is showing most of the times. Now, we also want to add the QGIS logo too as well. So all we have to do is to go back again and add image. So pick this, then we come and draw another circle, another box again, right? Adjust it to the size you want. So you come again, you change it back to a raster image. You use the same format and you go and to the folder. Then you add the QGIS logo to your system. I hope we are following.
Yes.
Are we together? Okay. So now you can adjust it and align it, right? So that it will be online. So the next thing that we want to do, we want to add our name. So the name to the same thing, you use the add label, right? So I'll go to the add item again, right? Or if I don't want there, just use here the add label is also there with the T symbol, the text. You pick that and you come and draw a text box in there. So you put the name. You come to the right hand side, the Leroy is showing, delete that and put your name. So I'll type author, right? I'll type author, and you put the name of the author there. So if, say, my name is Kwame Bedu, Kwame Boadi, yes. So I'll put, so let's say that is my name. And I also want to put my department or the institution. So I want to put my, let's say, my school. Then I'll type, let's say my school is University of Development Studies, University of Development Studies. Right. Now I want to add my department, say my Department of Agriculture. So let's say Agriculture and Natural Resources. Let's say this is my department. And now I want to add my contact, right? So +23320219261. So you can add all these details. So once you are done with that, you can go under, you can adjust it. So we want it to be left aligned, don't want it to be in the middle and things like that. You can also increase the fonts, right? You can come back here and adjust it so that it will fit in well, right? So if you want to change the font color, the font size, all that, you can do that. So once we are done with this, then you always remember to save. So you can add any other information you want to add. So many information. So the title too, you can adjust it. Make sure that the title is captivating. Maybe you can add other information to the title. You can add other information to the title, right? If you want to add a data source and things like that, you can always add that. You can also add your picture to it. So now once we are done, the next thing we are going to do is to export the map. We have already saved. If you want to save this layout, you can save it and use it later, but we don't need that now. Now I'm going to export the map. So at the top here, that's where you can export. The first one is export as image. Here you can have export as what? SVG. And we also have here, you can export it as what? PDF. So the first one, we are going to export it as what? Image. So I'll click on that. Where do I want to save it? I want to save it in the training file. And then the name is the default name, population, what? Populated cities in Ghana, JPEG. Then I'll click on save. So here you can increase the resolution. You can change. You want to use what? The default. Then you click save. So it will load. So it's what? It's saved and now we have our map here. Can you see the map?
Yes.
Can you see the saved one? I think
No.
maybe I have to share that one too so that you can see it. Okay, I'm trying to share it so that you guys can see it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
You can see the map, right? So the final
Yeah, we
output
can see.
look like something like that. Yes. So if you also, so you can see it now when you save it, the names and everything is clear. When you print it, it will be very. So now, so this brings us to the end of. So now, please let's mute ourselves. So now, if you have any questions to ask, I think we can ask. Now, I'll give you a project to do, and under the project, you produce something similar using data to produce it. So if you don't understand, you have to watch the videos, understand everything, and then do it. Are we okay?
Yes.
Do you have any
Maji.
questions to ask?
Yes.
Okay, so I think, please, you can ask.
Okay. So my question is, with this kind of map, is it necessary to show a key map?
it depends on what you want to do. But most of the times, people, when they are doing maps, they try to add key maps always. No, it's not a map that you should always add a key map. You only add a key map depending on the context that you want to show. Is that okay? So this kind of map, your map is within Ghana here. You are showing cities in Ghana. What key map are you going to add again? Are you going to add a key map in African context, in the world context? No, you don't have to add a key map. Is that okay? Because that is the whole of Ghana we are dealing with.
Okay.
Yes. So, but if you also want to add a key map, you just do the same process, right? You go and add map again. You add the map of your key map. You adjust the other map to one side and place the other one to at the other side. Is that okay? So we'll do that later. We'll show you how to do steady area maps. So when we get there, we'll show you how to add the key map.
Okay.
I hope you guys are enjoying it.
Yes.
Now I'm now tired. I've spoken for that's 40, 40, 40. That's like tired, very, very tired. Yeah. So do you have any further questions to ask?
And we one more.
Some of us are not even say anything. We are just there. We are not asking any questions.
We did a legend, but you see, with this final map.
Yes, we didn't add it. We forgot to add it. The legend.
Yes.
We didn't add the legend, right? We are supposed to add it. We didn't remember.
Okay.
So let me go back and add the legend to it.
Not only with the scale.
Yes, but we have added the scale already.
The linear scale has been added.
If you want to add a linear scale, what you have to do is to add the text and write the scale there. Is that okay? That's the one disadvantage of QGIS and ARC. ARC, it gives you the scale automatically for the system, but with QGIS, you also have to be very careful and write the scale there. So now we are going to add the legend first, right? So let me we'll add the legend somewhere around here. So you go and pick the legend to just like we did from the other end. Then, so I will draw it around here, but you have to adjust your system well so that you put the legend at the right place. So because of the layout I use, so we have to shift the map itself up small so that if I want to put the legend here, it can be there, right? So let's say if I shift the map like this. Okay. So that I can drag the legend and put it somewhere around here. So make sure you adjust your work well so that now when you are coming to put your legend, it will fit in well. I want, so I'll put the legend here. So now when you put the legend, you realize that we have some shape files under. Maybe we don't need those shape files. You can see we have the other shape file shown. So once this is highlighted, then you come down here. The legend is automatically, it's auto update. So you have to uncheck the auto update so that you yourself can edit the features there. So you come under where we have the Ghana District Capital, the first one here, you select it and use the minus here to remove it from the legend. Is that okay? If you also want to remove this two again, now if you want to send this at the top, you see now it's under the Ghana District, you can use the arrow going at the top like this, and then you can send it to the top. You can also bring it under. If you also want to remove it, you can also remove that one too as well, right? So you can see that that's how we add the legend, right? If you also want to create a frame around the legend, you come under where we have the frame and you check the frame so that there will be a scale, a frame around the legend. So that is how you add the legend. So if you want to drag it down, you can still bring it down here and it will be there. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes. So now if we want to add the scale, for adding the scale, you have to always be careful. First of all, you have to select the map like this so that you can see the scale in here. You realize that the scale we used, which was 2.5, it has changed to where it has distorted, right? So now we have to come and change it again, delete this, and put the 5 zeros back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put the 5 so that it will be what? That's the 2.5 that we use. Once you are done with that, if you don't want the scale to always change, you have selected the map. All you have to do is to what? You come here at the top